What's up, friend? Thank you so much for tuning in to FunAhead TV. Today, we are getting this engine right here back up in that car right there. We're gonna start it for the first time. We're gonna drive it for the first time. You absolutely do not want to miss it. Let's do it.
Rippin', tearin'. The rippin' and the tearin'.
All right, like I said, in this episode, we're gonna get this here car, our Project Blue Base Model Boxster, which belongs to a subscriber of mine, Eric, super awesome guy, big Porsche enthusiast. He owns this super clean green, no, it's blue, base model Boxster, which is a 2001 model year 986.2 vehicle, 121,000 miles. We've been refreshing a lot of the things inside of this powertrain to basically get it back up to snuff. It's 23, almost 24 years old. A lot of the aging rubbers and plastics inside of it are, well, aging. So we rejuvenated all of those. This thing is back together and ready to go back up in this car, which is exactly where we're picking up. I'm filming this intro literally just minutes after I filmed last week's video's outro because I am just so freaking excited to get started on this thing and get this thing back up in the car. So without further ado, what do you say we do it? Huh? Well, folks, and there she is. Would you just look at it? So I'm very happy to report that everything with that preliminary install went very smoothly. Now comes the task of plugging everything in, reattaching everything. I did already go ahead and torque down the front engine mount and our brand new transmission mounts, so those are all good to go. I also went ahead and torqued down our brand new CV shafts. We've yet to attach so much stuff on the bottom side of the engine and the top side of the engine. Everything is literally just sitting there hanging loose right now. Anyway, that is tomorrow's job. Unfortunately, I am out of time for today. So I'm gonna pick up first thing tomorrow morning, which will be about 12 or 13 hours from right now. But for you, fortunately, it'll be just about 12 or 13 seconds. So future me, go ahead and take it away, buddy. Well, good morning. It's now the next day. This is a big day because one, I'm wearing shorts in December, because all my other shop pants, my beater pants, are needing to be washed. And two, today is the day that hopefully, if all goes well, we're gonna fire this engine for the very first time since doing this entire mechanical restoration on it. So, I have a lot of things to connect. Hoses for power steering, you can see the one power steering line dangling there, fuel lines, coolant lines, electrical harnesses, shifter cables, slave cylinder for the clutch. So once we finish all the stuff that I just mentioned on the bottom side, then we need to go to the top side and basically do all the same thing. Tighten up electrical connections, grounds, just plug in all the stuff. Also, we have to do fluids. Duh. We have to so get that done as well before we turn the key at all. Yeah. So I'm gonna get to work, start finishing some stuff up, and then we'll pick up with when it's time to turn that key for the very first time. We have to do the exhaust too. I hate the exhaust. Oh. All right. Well, all right, friend. Here's a quick status update time. So, I've spent the last little bit reattaching basically everything. Everything on the bottom of the car is officially good to go. As far as first startup goes, of course, we still have to put some undercovers on and reattach some strengthening plates and whatnot. Same with the top of the engine. We have all of the electrical harnesses, throttle body, all of the hoses and yada yada. All of that stuff is officially good to go as well. I put oil in the car a little bit ago, just over 8 quarts of oil just for our first start. Of course, we always end up having to add about 1.5 to 2 quarts after that first startup anyway. I also went ahead and put power steering fluid in the car. I also went ahead and plugged in the DME and all the electrical harnesses, so those are good to go, at least with regards to everything in the trunk, and all the ground wires and everything are good to go as well. And so I'm currently working on putting coolant in the car. As you can see, I've got my vacuum bleeder hooked up to the expansion tank. I spent about 20 minutes putting a Venturi on this thing to pull the entire coolant system down to vacuum. It has been holding the level that it maxed out at for, well, probably coming up on 20 to 25 minutes now. I basically hold a vacuum on the system for an extended period of time to make sure that it doesn't begin to return to atmosphere, because in the event that the pressure in the system does start to return to atmosphere, it's an indication that we've got a leak somewhere in the system. And fortunately, it has been rock solid at just over minus 25, I think it's inches of mercury is the unit. So everything is good to go, with the exception of doing the super satisfying task of slurping the coolant up into the cooling system. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got 4 gallons of coolant sitting here. It's 50-50 mix of Porsche coolant and distilled water that is ready to rip and be backfilled into the coolant system with the vacuum bleeder. Basically, we can replace all of the negative space with coolant, which is a super nifty, super awesome trick that this vacuum bleeder does. So it makes filling and bleeding a cooling system so nice. But I kind of screwed up in the last video where I did this with the base model Boxster, so I want to make sure I show you guys this as well as possible. So you take your fill end here, your hose, and you get it down in the coolant, and then you flip this valve, and then watch what happens. Boom. You saw that coolant just suck up through that hose. And now just full speed ahead, refilling the coolant system with coolant. Also, just to note, you want to make sure as you're filling this that you have your bleeder valve on the expansion tank in the upright position. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but basically that will trap air if you have it in the down position. Not that big of a deal, but it'll just be that much harder to fully bleed the system. It might take a couple drives after you put everything back together for it to kind of get rid of that extra little air pocket that you added. So just make sure that it's up. Okay, so coolant filling procedure is done. I'm gonna go ahead and put our cap on. As you can see, it ended up taking about 3.5 of the 4 gallons that we had pre-mixed. So now that that's done, I think it's officially time that we can go ahead and turn this key for the first time and see what the heck happens. I gotta go ahead and hook up the battery. I'm also gonna crack my garage door real quick just so I don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning, and then let's do it. Okay, all right. Just thinking over all last minute checks. Gonna give the engine room one last look over, make sure we've got everything plugged in. That should be, yeah, I think so. I think we are good to go. All right, let's give her a quick go. All right, one last quick oil level check. Make sure we're sitting pretty. Yep, looking good. Let's try it. Okay. We also have not built fuel pressure, keep that in mind. Okay. She kicked. Still working on building fuel pressure, I think. Weird. She's not very happy. I don't know what's up. What the heck? Hey, there it goes. Whew! That was kind of freaking me out for a second. I think it was all just a matter of fuel pressure, by the way. I'm just checking for any kind of dripping fluids. So far, so good. So, by the way, we're definitely going to be seeing some smoke in a second here. We had a little bit of oil spilled onto the catalytic converters during the mechanical restoration process, so that'll start smoking off momentarily. Actually, it's starting to do that right now. And the new lifters always have some level of ticking noise on the first startup. They're brand new lifters. They have not yet been completely filled with oil, so inherently we're going to be hearing a little bit of valve train noise. So just know that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off and top up the oil, which has no doubt gotten sucked pretty low because the cylinder heads are always very, very low on oil. I mean, they have no oil in them and they always take at least about a quart each. So we're probably pretty low in the sump right now. I'm gonna go ahead and check levels really quickly and then we can let it run and get fully up to temperature. Yeah. You know how I said the cylinder heads take a ton of oil? Well, I had the oil level up to the max line on the dipstick before starting the car, and now it's not even showing on the dipstick. Well, actually just barely. It's at the very, very bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and let this settle a slight bit longer just so I can get the most accurate reading possible, and then I'm gonna top this thing up, and we're gonna let it get fully up to temp so that we can get all of the coolant cycled through the entire cooling system. Yeah, again, it's not showing. It's like touching just the tip. So aside from being a little bit slow to build fuel pressure, that was a wonderful first start. Everything ran super well. It sounded really, really good. This engine runs very, very smoothly. I did go ahead and top the oil pressure. I did go ahead and top the oil back up. It took all of probably just over 2 quarts, so a quart to each cylinder head in order to get it topped up to the correct level again. It's amazing how much oil these cylinder heads pull in. So all told, from a completely dry start with all the engine oil completely taken out of this thing, it ended up taking 11 quarts of oil. That's how much one of these 2.7 liter engines holds at any one time. That's exactly what my 2.5 liter in the base model Boxster ended up taking after its light mechanical restoration as well. Now that we have coolant and oil topped back up, I'm gonna go ahead and run this thing for probably 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna, of course, crank the heater to full temperature so that we get the heater core completely opened up and flowing. We can make sure we get coolant flowing to every single part of this coolant system. And obviously we want the engine to heat cycle once as well, just to get everything up to temperature for that first time. Then once that is done, I will begin putting everything back on the bottom side of this car to get it completely ready to go for its first drive. But before then, we need to make sure that everything comes up to temperature nicely and nothing weird happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We'll pick up in just a little bit once I've done that. Look at her, look at her. She's been running for right around, 20-ish minutes at this point. Coolant is completely up to temp. Coolant level is tip-top cherry, kind of, I don't know, 3/4 of the way up between min and max there. The lifters have quieted themselves down. This thing is running like an absolute dream. I revved it up quite a bit, well, just over 5,000 RPMs one time. Man, this thing sounds super good. The engine is very responsive. Everything seems to be running very nice and smoothly. Now that it is up to temperature, and amazingly, there's still oil burning off the cats, by the way. You're probably not gonna be able to see that on the camera, but pretty wild. Clearly, I got quite a bit of oil on there, but I had my reasons, okay? I didn't want to take the headers off because those header bolts break so easily, and if I were to break one, it would be broken off into the cylinder head. It'd be an absolute nightmare to get out. Ask me how I know. So, she's up to temp. Temperature is blowing hot. By the way, Eric, didn't you say that the AC doesn't work on your car? Because it totally does. I just fired it up. Maybe uninstalling and reinstalling the AC compressor on the car fixed it. I don't know, but it works now. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off, let the engine come down back down to room temp. In the meantime, we're going to put all of the underside stuff back on the car, get it set back down on the ground, and then she'll be ready for her first drive. Let's go ahead and do it. There it is. Eric's blue base model Boxster is officially back on the ground where it belongs after this minor mechanical restoration that we did on the engine. I was so excited that I even put on the old teeny tiny sport coat to celebrate the occasion. This thing is officially rip-roaring and ready to go. But unfortunately, on that note, this would normally be the time that we would go rip it on its maiden voyage to make sure all systems are go. However, the problem is twofold. One, it's nighttime, so as I'm talking in the car, you're not gonna be able to see me, it's just gonna be a voice. That's not the big problem though. The big problem is that I'm not 100% sure if there's road salt down, and I would not put Eric's car through that. This thing is way too clean to have any ounce of road salt down. Plus the roads are wet. We've had so much rain in the last couple of days, so any road salt that was down will get washed away. I'm going to wait until tomorrow. Hopefully we don't have any road salt down on the road. It's supposed to be dry the rest of the day after like 8 a.m. So then we can take it on its maiden voyage in the daylight with hopefully dry and non-salted roads. But I'm gonna go ahead and catch up with you guys tomorrow when hopefully we can take this thing on its maiden voyage. See you tomorrow. Well, hi friends, here we are, the next day. it is now officially time to take this beautiful, sexy blue base model Boxster for its very first maiden voyage. Obviously, for some reason, I look like an absolute giant in this car. I don't know how that's even possible, but for some reason, I am so much bigger in this car than I am in my 1998 base model Boxster. For some reason, like, I don't know if it's something with the seat or what, but like, I do not fit in this car. Yet I fit in the other car so well, and these are the same car. I don't know why or how that is. I don't know. First cold start since doing the first start that we did yesterday with it. This is the one. I just checked the oil a second ago. All is good. This is the actual first. Okay. Oh, baby, she sounds quiet and smooth. Very good. I'm gonna let this thing go ahead and warm up for just a few minutes before we take it out because it is cold outside, which is also why we have the top up. How do I know it's cold outside? Because when I walked outside, it was cold outside. So game plan, let this thing warm up. Then we're gonna go ahead and take it for a short drive, get everything up to temp, make sure everything is good to go. We're gonna fill it up with fuel and then come back and park it. There is a tiny bit of road salt on the roads right now, but the roads are dry. And I'm kind of like trying to dodge weather right now. It is a very annoying time of year to be driving such a pristine example of a vehicle, avoiding road salt and moisture at the same time because it's Ohio. Sorry, Eric, we're gonna get a little bit of road salt on your car probably, but it's at least dry road salt. I don't know, we're not gonna get it up into every single little thing. Okay, up to speed for the very first time. We're going 55 miles an hour. Everything came up to speed very nicely. You can definitely tell a difference between the double plenum design of the 986.2 engines and what my base model Boxster has, which is just a single plenum. I mean, you can tell just in the tiny little tip-ins that you do, you can hear that intake note come in so much sooner. We're obviously not doing a red line or anything crazy because not my car, but you know, enough to where we can actually get this thing up to some RPM. We'll probably take it up to like 5,000 or something just to make sure that everything is assembled correctly. You know what I mean? Also, this is a B road and they don't salt it, so I'm trying my best to avoid any and all salted roads right now. I wonder if the steering wheel comes in forward at all. Oh, it does. Thank the Lord. Okay, good. That helps me so much. Sorry, Eric, we'll have to put your steering wheel back. Don't let me forget to do that. Dang, this thing sounds so good. That exhaust note and intake note together are nice. Eric, your car drives so nicely. I mean, I've put 2.5 miles on the thing, but it is just a nice driving Boxster. It's so quiet in here. Man, absolutely love it. I like these 2.7s. It's a nice little engine. All right, so it's now a handful of minutes later, maybe like 5 or 6 minutes later. Engine is officially up to temperature. Everything has been going very well so far. This powertrain is smooth as silk. Engine smooth as silk, transmission smooth as silk. Everything just runs and drives really, really nicely. I did just get out a second ago to make sure that no fluids were dripping out the bottom and that everything sounded good. Everything sounds great. No fluids coming out the bottom. So we are on our way to the gas station because Eric has asked me to fill it up because he's putting it in storage immediately after this. Unfortunately, we're doing all this work at just the wrong time of year and he's not gonna be able to enjoy it until springtime. Definitely a bummer, but hey, at least come springtime, this thing is gonna be ready to go for him to just rip some miles on all spring, summer, and fall long. So we've got the stable loaded up in the car. We're gonna go ahead and top up the fuel system so that the gas in the tank is good to go for the entire winter, and then we'll head back. But first, let's go ahead and just bring this thing up to 5,000 RPMs really quick, just to make sure that we've put this thing together properly. All right, so it's 3,500 RPMs. Oh. Dang, that intake note is so nice. So nice. Yeah. I freaking love these cars. How could you not love a Porsche? Well, successful first wide open throttle to 5,000 RPMs. I think we can say that this thing is put together properly. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish doing our fuel fill real quick, and I'll talk to you guys in just a second. Well, friend, and there you have it. After an 18.5 mile successful test drive with this beautiful blue base model Boxster, we can officially say that another FunAhead TV light mechanical restoration is officially done, dusted, and in the books. The engine revs super nicely, is super quiet, super smooth, and to top it all off, we actually just got the Blackstone oil analysis report back from Blackstone last night. Everything looks fantastic metal count wise with this engine. This thing is officially one of the cleanest, nicest 986.2 Boxsters on the planet, both cosmetically and now mechanically. And so before we fully wrap everything up, I just want to say a huge thank you to Eric. Thank you so much for trusting me with your baby. I'm so glad that we could work together and get this thing nicely mechanically refreshed to just complete the package of this vehicle. I really appreciate you allowing me to make video content on this car as well. I think everyone really, really enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps out my channel so much. And also please subscribe to see even more automotive content in general coming down the pipeline to you via FunAhead TV every single week. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, you, I'm looking right at you. And thank you so much, Eric. Again, I appreciate you so very much. I can't wait to give this car back to you and see what you think about it. So thank you all again so much for being here. I'll see you in next week's video. Later.
Rippin', tearin', the rippin' and the